Nothing exists outside of your mind. तो हाउ डज नथिंग एग्जिस्ट आउटसाइड ऑफ योर माइंड? सबसे पहला विचार आपको ये आएगा कि भाई साहब ये देखो, रूबिक्स क्यूब यहाँ पर दिख रहा है मुझे, एग्जिस्ट तो करता है, मेरा दिमाग तो यहाँ पर है, रूबिक्स क्यूब यहाँ पर है, तो भाई साहब आप तो गलत बात बता रहे हैं, ये तो एग्जिस्ट करता है. द थिंग इज, लेट्स टेक द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ दिस बुक राइट हियर, माइन काम्फ बाय एडोल्फ हिटलर. तो the book doesn't, and neither does anything else exist outside of meaning. And what I mean by that is, outside of meaning, everything is the same. Nothing can differentiate this object from any other object except for meaning, because everything is just atoms. So you can just concede that everything outside mind is the same is one. Everything is one. You can concede that and go home. However, the illusion that you get that this is an individual object independent from every other object, this is its own thing, that illusion comes from meaning. This only exists in your mind as a separate object as far as to how it makes you feel and what it means. Another intuitive thought that you might get is कि भाई साहब ये देखिए, इस पे तो माइन काम्फ लिखा है, तो this is its own original thing. The thing is, that isn't, Mein Kampf isn't necessarily written there. That is just white ink. That is just yellow ink. Adolf Hitler. You think that is written Mein Kampf because of past experiences and your understanding of language, which of course happens through the mind. So let's say it like this. For you to know if something exists, you need to know what that thing is. How would you define a book? Something you read, it's usually like 100 to 600, 700 pages. The thing is, those definitions need definitions too. There are words in those definitions that need to be defined themselves. And at the end of the day, when there are no more definitions for definitions, it is all based upon feelings. That's how definitions originated. A caveman felt something. An object made a caveman feel something. He pointed at it and made a sound. That's how definitions were invented. So yes, we do all collectively, subjectively grant that everything exists objectively. But that's an assumption that we need to make to progress as society. And this stuff is not limited to woo-woo philosophical shit. It may as well be literal to this. Literally could not exist. How you know that nothing, for you to say if something exists or not, you need to know what that thing is, so you can tell what exists or not. Let me put it a better way. For you to claim something exists or not, there is a definition in your mind for that thing that you will check to see if that particular definition exists or not. So in the case of this 2x2 Rubik's Cube, you think this 2x2 Rubik's Cube exists as it is. So the definition of the Rubik's Cube you would give to it is what you can observe. You can observe that it's three-dimensional. Although, how would you know? The human brain can only comprehend up to 3 dimensions. How would you know if this is only 3-dimensional? That would be based on assumptions made by the mind. It's multicolored. Red. There is no such thing as the property of red in this. It's just longer wavelengths. All the wavelengths hit it, and the long wavelengths hit our eyes, our retina. Our brain interprets that as red. So if you would define the Rubik's Cube as literally how you see it, or observe it in any other manner, it would be based upon feelings and assumptions and presuppositions. So it is kind of fair to say, to look at this and say something exists, but to say that the Rubik's Cube is exactly this thing that I see and I observe, and that specific definition I gave to my brain exists, You do not know. You do not know that. Conclusion: you cannot tell that this exists based on any observation that you can made, because that observation is made in the mind. Because for you to express what, if it exists or not, you would first have to have the knowledge of it. And if having knowledge of it is a necessary step, then that requires mind.